Just inland from the Southern California coast, not far from the modern highways and suburbs of Orange County, sits a town that feels noticeably different from everything around it. San Juan Capistrano is smaller, quieter, and more contained, but its significance comes from something much larger than its size. This is one of the oldest continuously inhabited areas in the region, and its history reflects nearly every major phase of California's development, from indigenous life to Spanish colonization to the growth of modern Southern California. Long before the mission was built, this land was home to the Acjachemen people, often referred to as the Juaneño. They lived throughout the valleys and along nearby waterways, building villages that were closely tied to the natural environment. Their society was organized, their trade networks were established, and their way of life was sustainable within the landscape they understood well. The area that would later become San Juan Capistrano was not isolated or underdeveloped. It was already part of a functioning and deeply rooted culture. That began to change in the late 18th century, as Spain expanded its presence into Alta California. In 1775, Spanish missionaries arrived with the intention of establishing Mission San Juan Capistrano as part of a broader system designed to extend religious and political control across the region. The mission's early years, however, were not stable. Shortly after its founding, it was temporarily abandoned following a local uprising. It was re-established in 1776, and from that point forward, it grew into one of the most prominent missions in California. The mission system introduced sweeping changes to the region. Indigenous populations were brought into the mission structure, where daily life shifted towards agriculture, labor, and religious conversion. Over time, the mission expanded physically and economically, producing crops, raising livestock, and constructing larger and more permanent buildings. Among these was the Great Stone Church, completed in the early 1800s. At the time, it was one of the most ambitious structures in California, reflecting both the scale and intentions of the mission system. That growth was interrupted in 1812, when a powerful earthquake struck the region. During a morning service, the Great Stone Church collapsed, resulting in significant loss of life. The ruins of that structure still stand today, serving as one of the most recognizable features of San Juan Capistrano and a reminder of both the mission's prominence and its vulnerability. Following Mexico's independence from Spain in 1821, control of California shifted, and the mission system began to decline. Lands were secularized and redistributed through large ranchos, changing the structure of the region's economy. At San Juan Capistrano, the mission lost much of its influence, and many of its buildings fell into disrepair. For a period of time, the area became more closely associated with ranching and agriculture than with its earlier religious and cultural role. By the late 19th century, however, interest in California's early history began to grow. As development expanded across Southern California, San Juan Capistrano became one of the places where preservation efforts took hold. The mission was gradually restored, and the surrounding area began to develop in a way that reflected its past rather than replacing it. Unlike many neighboring cities, which expanded rapidly and adopted more modern designs, San Juan Capistrano remained relatively small and focused on maintaining its historic character. This approach helped shape the identity of the town in a lasting way. The Los Rios Historic District, located just outside the mission, became one of the oldest preserved neighborhoods in the state. Its adobe homes, narrow streets, and small-scale buildings reflect an earlier period of California's development, offering a contrast to the surrounding region. Around the same time, another tradition became closely associated with the town. Each year, cliff swallows returned to the area after migrating south for the winter. Over time, this seasonal event became tied to the identity of San Juan Capistrano, symbolizing continuity and renewal. While the exact patterns of migration have changed over time, the return of the swallows remains an important part of the city's cultural image. Today, San Juan Capistrano stands apart not because of its size or modern development, but because of what it's chosen to preserve. The Mission remains the focal point of the city, not only as an architectural landmark, but as a representation of a complex and layered history. It reflects the intersection of indigenous life, Spanish colonization, and the broader forces that shaped early California. What makes the city unique is how these layers remain visible. In many places, development replaces what came before, leaving only fragments of early history behind. In San Juan Capistrano, that process was different. Preservation became part of the city's identity, allowing its past to remain present in its buildings, its layout, and its traditions. Modern life exists here, but it doesn't fully define the space. Restaurants, shops, and homes operate within a framework that still reflects earlier periods. The scale remains smaller, the pace slower, and the connection to history more direct. In a region known for rapid growth and constant change, San Juan Capistrano represents an alternative path. It's a place where development didn't erase identity, but instead worked alongside it. The result's a city that feels connected to its origins, not just in isolated landmarks, but in the overall experience of being there. Understanding San Juan Capistrano means understanding the decisions that shaped it. The establishment of the Mission, the disruptions that followed, the period of decline, and the later efforts to restore and preserve the site all contributed to what exists today. Each phase added something, and together they created a city that reflects more than just a single moment in time. San Juan Capistrano is often described as historic, but that description only captures part of what makes it significant. Its history is not confined to the past. It's something that continues to define the present, visible in both the physical environment and the choices that continue to shape the city. And in that way, San Juan Capistrano is more than a preserved town. It's a place where the history of California remains active, layered, and still clearly visible.